Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be talking about the Beatles recording of Thank You Girl that they did on March 5th, 1963. The song was written in February 63 by John and Paul, together, eyeball to eyeball, as they used to like to say, while they were on tour with Helen Shapiro. And it was intended to be their follow-up of their previous single, Please Please Me. John said it was just a silly song that we knocked off. It was one of our efforts at writing a single that didn't work, so it became a B-side or an album track. About the writing of the song, Paul said, "We knew that if we wrote a song called Thank You Girl, that a lot of the girls who wrote us fan letters would take it as a genuine thank you. So a lot of our songs were directly addressed to the fans." So they're at EMI Studio 2 on March 5th, 1963, and the first part of the session that day was recording From Me to You. When they got that right, they started to work on Thank You Girl. They did 6 takes, playing and singing live, with the usual lineup, John and George on guitar, Paul on bass, and Ringo on drums. Take 6 is the keeper, and then it was time to do something at the end. So they did 7 more takes of just the end part with Ringo doing the fill, and when they got Take 7 correct, they edited Take 7 onto Take 6, and that's the final recording we hear. The session is noteworthy because it marks the first time 2 Lennon and McCartney songs were recorded that would not be released until much later in the band's career. March 13th, they wanted to do an overdub, and it was harmonica. John had a severe cold, but he made it into the studio. But he forgot his harmonica, and he borrowed one from Malcolm Davies, who was an EMI mastering engineer. It took John 15 takes to get it right because he kept blowing his nose and coughing and sneezing. They took 6 different takes of it and edited it onto the final recording to get the part that we hear. Fun fact to know and tell, John was so sick that he missed the concert the night before in Bedford. So George, Paul, and Ringo did that concert, and they played Love Me Do, Misery, A Taste of Honey, Do You Want to Know a Secret, Please Please Me, and I Saw Her Standing There without John. I could not find a photo of that concert, but man, I sure would like to see one. They recorded Thank You Girl 3 more times for BBC radio shows. They never performed it live with John playing the harmonica, but it was in their live shows from April to August of 1963. The song was released in Great Britain on Parlophone as a B-side for From Me to You on April 1963. And then in America, VJ released it as a B-side to From Me to You on May 27, 1963. And it was officially on a Capitol Beatles record called The Beatles' Second Album that was released on April 10th, 1964. So that's the backstory. Let's get started. John Lennon is playing his Gibson J160E plugged into his Vox amp, so I've got mine doing the exact same thing. He's the only guitarist you actually can really hear on this recording, because once again, the powers that be couldn't seem to record 4 instruments that we could actually hear on a record back then. But nevertheless, John does a fantastic job of driving the song along. So to play it, you'll need a few chords. You're going to need like a root fifth of an A, because you're going to rock it, move that fifth up to the 6, you know. You'll also need that in a G form. And then you need some bar chords. You'll need an A bar, but for the most part, John only plays the bottom 4 strings when he plays his bar chords in the song. So that's your A, and then a G. You'll need a first position D chord. A Beatle G, I like to call it, one of these. And you'll need an A7. And the first verse only has a D suspended chord at the end. Like that. And that'll get you through a verse and the refrain. So on the intro, John is playing those power fifths on the A, and he's rocking it. He's playing down to the G. And then, since he's playing and singing live, when he sings "Oh Oh," he plays a bar A. Now, typical John Lennon, when he moves and he picks up his hand, you hear strings ring out. So when he picks up the A, you hear an E and a B open string. Then he goes down to the G. You hear a B and a G. So, you know, it's like... And that continues throughout, that kind of loose playing. So when he gets to the verse, between the D, he'll play 3/8 notes of the D, he'll play. And then an open G and a B there, to the G chord, open G and a B. And that happens in between each chord, so it's like... So you notice he did that D suspended just on the first verse, and then on the refrain, just that 4-note bar chord G, just 8th notes. That happens again into verse 2. So let me play the intro and a verse in time for you. 1, 2, 3, go. Those little open strings, I mean, play it like that because it actually adds to the kind of excitement of the playing. Some might call it sloppy, but it's just, what he did. On the bridge, you'll need a new chord. You need a B minor, played up here. You can use a D, an A, first position A. And you'll need an E minor. And that's pretty much just... straight eighths, which on the D and the A is a little difference. So on the bridge he plays, let's see here. All right, I'll do that in time for you. 1, 2, ready, go. And then you're actually into refrain 3. He goes like this. On beat 4. And then the intro thing happens again, and this time he plays the rock and roll, Chuck Berry rock and roll on the intro when the harmonica's blowing and when he's singing O. It's like... And then verse 3, which is exactly like the other verses, again just playing... Refrain number 4, there's a quarter note on every beat 4. This time he plays. Right? So I'll do verse 3 for you in time, for fun. 1, 2, here we go. And then once again, the harmonica is wailing, and he plays just like he does the first time. First time he plays, rocking it. And when he sings sings, oh, he plays straight bottom 4 strings bar chords. Then on Ringo's, drum fills, John plays a figure like this. Almost, mimicking what Ringo does. And back to for drum fill number 2. And then there's just a slight difference that you could hear George and John on the end, where John plays, and George is going to do, but that's the ending. So I'll play it, let me play it from like the last harmonica thing out. 1, 2, 3, go. That's it. Really nice part. Charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com. If you want to see it exactly, you can download it there. But that's what John did on Thank You Girl. George Harrison is most likely playing his Gretsch Duo Jet on Thank You Girl. I don't own a Duo Jet, so I've got this Gretsch going through my Vox AC30, which, by the way, this is a Japanese copy and just a marvelous guitar, which I highly recommend. So, like I said, you can barely hear George, if at all, on the song. You could hear him during the rockin' parts. But thanks to all the BBC live recordings and some video, I was able to decipher what he did on the record. So in order to play the song like George, you'll need, again, the power A, root 5th of A, so you can rock it. Also on the G, Then you'll need, full A bar chord, full G bar chord. He plays his D up here, and G. You'll need an A7, and I believe those are all the chords that'll get you through the intro and the verse. Yeah. So when he starts, just do that rocking thing, and like typical George, pick all down for your 8th notes. So like. And then on the verse, it's like 1 and 2, 3 and 4. So you voice a D chord and play the the root 5th and then the full chord, like same thing on a G. To the A7, D. Now, it's kind of up and down, so you don't have to be really strict 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Kind of, keep your arm moving, and there's a little ghosting as you move from chord to chord, and that's all right. And then during the refrain, straight 8ths on the bar chords from G to A. So in time, that would sound, hey Ringo, come here. Sound like this. 2, 3, 4. That would be the second verse. And again on the refrain, pretty heavy accent, I should say, on 2 and 4, You get it. On the bridge, George will be up to a B minor up here. Then a regular D, A. He also plays the first position E minor. Back up to A and D. So the bridge would be like this. only difference in strumming is pretty much on the E minor and the A. Just play 1 on beat 1 and then eighth notes. So if I did that in time, 3, 4. Nice and simple. Same thing on the refrain, just eighth notes, you know. Also has a big stop on beat 4 of that second measure. Back to G. And then the intro, harmonicas wailing, and once again just rocking that Chuck Berry kind of rock. And the lad saying, oh. Verse 3. Fun to do. And same on the refrain, just straight eighths until second measure with an accent on beat 4. It's like and then the harmonica again, George just rocks. And we can guess that he plays the same sort of a fill over Ringo's fill that John did, you know, like. And all right. Let me do that one more time from the last harmonica thing out. 2. Bit of a wrist workout, but you know, those are kids in their 20s playing it, so it was really easy. Charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com if you'd like to see exactly what George played. I wrote it out for you to download. And as usual, I did a sound alike, which was fun because you know, this is a great period, in my opinion, of Beatles, just you know, bravado. So have a look at this.
Is that
there you have it. Early Beatles fun rock and roller and a heck of a workout for your wrist. I suggest you learn both parts, play along with my sound alike, and you'll get it just like the Beatles. If you'd like to drop me a line, please do so at MikePachelli.com, and that's where the charts and tabs for all my video lessons are available for you to download. And I appreciate your consideration in supporting my work that way. So have fun playing this great old song, and until next time, I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.